Hi all, Irwin here for BCHA Ignite. Hope you're all well, but most importantly we hope you're trying to stay safe. Before I start my vlog today, I want to mention a couple of things that we did yesterday in order to support you. My colleague Miles did a Facebook Live on wildlife conservation, and I did a vlog on our personal reflections now that we're slowly coming out of lockdown. If you get the chance to view these, please do. All you need to do is go onto our BCHA support YouTube channel and check them out. And while you're there, you can see a whole host of other vlogs that we've done since the lockdown started in order to help support you. This vlog today is it's called the Stickman Concept, and it's centred on how we feel as individuals in terms of where we want to get to, and do we think we've got what it takes to get there. Unfortunately, most people, and I include myself on this, that many years ago I never thought I could get into the position that I'm in now, and that was due to a lack of information. That's all it was due to. But I thought I was born like that, I couldn't do much. And most people that I speak to feel the same as well, so I thought I'd share this concept with you in order to try and help you get to where you want to get to, even if you don't believe it right now that it can happen. Okay, in the 1930s there was a chap called the Dr. Thurman Fleet, and he believed that the medical profession, which he was part of, he was a chiropractor, were putting too much emphasis on our physical bodies. They were looking at the symptoms and not the cause. So in other words, if I go to the doctor and what's wrong with you, Irwin? I've got a headache. In most cases, they'll write me a prescription and then off I go. Dr. Fleet wanted to look at it holistically. So why have you got a headache, Irwin? What's the lighting like in your environment? What type of foods are you eating? Are they contributing to your headaches? What are the people in your environment like? Are they contributing to your headache? All these questions in order to get to the root cause of why I've got a headache. So let me try and break this down for you, and hopefully if you get emotionally involved in this concept and crucially act on the information, your circumstances will transform for the better. Because if it can work for me, it can work for you. Okay, Dr. Fleet believed that our mind is infinitely bigger than our body. So we think a thought and then our body acts it out. So we've got a big mind and a small body. Forgive my drawing. Now there are two parts to our mind. We've got the conscious part, that's the part that reasons and thinks, and then we've got the subconscious part, which is the most crucial, because once we've done all our reasoning and thinking and we get emotionally involved in whatever we've been thinking, it passes down to this subconscious part, and then we become a walking, talking replica of that information. Now, most of us receive all our information through our sensory factors. We can see, hear, smell, taste and touch. Now these sensory factors, which most of us have got, act like an aerial on top of a building or a sky dish. Most people think that whenever they switch the television on, they just think it miraculously comes on. They don't realise that it comes from a receiving set, just like we get our information. So I want to personalise this. My sensory factor, which was to hear, all I heard when I was growing up were things like, "You'll never make it. What's the point in you doing that, because it won't amount to anything," and so on and so on and so on. And because when we're young and the people who are looking after us give us the information, we believe it, so we get emotionally involved in it to the point where we become, and it passes down to this subconscious part here, and we become a walking, talking replica of that information. So by the time I got into school, because I was a walking, talking replica of that information, I didn't really know much, and I couldn't do much. But the sad thing about it was, I thought that that was me, that was just the way I was born. And it was only when I got this information, I realised that I wasn't born with that type of information. I was just given it, I got emotionally involved in it, and I became a walking, talking replica of that information. To the opposite side of that, there were people in our school, in our class, who had the opposite side of that information. And as I look back now through this concept, it's because their sensory factor, which is to hear things, was things like, don't give up, keep trying, all will be well, and so on and so on and so on, to the point where they got emotionally involved in that information, and by the time they got into class, they were a walking, talking replica of that information, confident, seemingly knowing the answers. Whereas I used to think, wow, I wish I was like that, but I wasn't born like that, so I'll never be like that. So what I'm trying to express to you is, if you're feeling emotionally defeated at this moment in time, if you're feeling that your life is all you're going to get, but you really want more out of life, please believe that it's not because you can't get more out of life, it's because of the information that you receive, whether it's through your sensory factor to hear or whether you see things, and it's because you've got emotionally involved in it, in other words, you've believed in that information, that you've now become that person. So, in other words, what I'm trying to say to you is, if you're in a situation now where you don't want to be, the cheery news is you can change it. But you have to have the courage to change it by changing the environment that you're in, the people that you've got around. What books are you reading? What thoughts are you thinking? When you're watching the television of an evening or during the day, are you just watching it mechanically? Or are you focused and informative in terms of what you want to watch? Because if you're just watching it mechanically, then all the information, the negative information that you might be receiving, is going to sink into this part and you're going to become that. You're going to become depressed, stressed and irritated. So, if we can start to think and change our environment, and we get emotionally involved in the change that we want, the positive change, eventually that will make a shift away from the negative side of the things that we were thinking that we couldn't do, and it'll make room for the positive and we'll become a walking, talking replica of it. I hope that makes sense. Please watch the video again and get emotionally involved in it, and if you do, you'll become a walking, talking replica of it. Stay well, stay safe,